A potential issue that might arise during the transcription of a video is whether the underlying content is safe for distribution. And in this particular video, we're going to take a look at the content moderation feature of the AssemblyAI API, who happens to be the sponsor of the video. And in particular, the content moderation feature will allow you to automatically detect sensitive information, which could be filtered out. And so without further ado, we're starting right now. As briefly mentioned, in today's video, we're going to take a look at how we could use AssemblyAI to perform content moderation. And Kelsey Foster has written a great blog explaining about the concept of this, as well as providing some examples on how AssemblyAI could perform automatic detection and provide labels on various sensitive content topics, as shown here. And currently, as of the filming of this video, there's a total of 19 categories. And so if you're able to automatically detect the categories of the potential sensitive content, you could take that a step further and automate the decision-making process by adding what tasks to do upon detection of a particular content type. And so I'll provide you the link to this blog post in the video description. Let's now take a look at the API documentation of AssemblyAI. And as I've already mentioned, these are the labels for the sensitive contents. And here's an example of the code snippet for implementing the content moderation. And there's example in various languages here. And so that's the input, and the output will be in here in JSON format. And you can see that for each block of text, it will perform the automatic labeling as to whether this potential phrases pertains to health issues or any other of the 19 categories here. So it detects that this particular sentence pertains to health issue with a confidence of 0.82 and with a severity of 0.15. So what this means is that it's pretty sure that this is related to health, but then it's not severe enough to inflict harm, and therefore the severity is low. And so in a practical scenario, you could implement through trial and error which severity threshold or confidence threshold you would like to use. So that's a matter of a optimization problem. All right, and so let's have a look at content moderation in action using AssemblyAI. But before doing so, the first thing is you need to get the API key. And so let's head over to the AssemblyAI website. And then you could click here on Get Started. And so as I have already signed up, it's logged in. And you could just click here to copy your API key, which is found at the right-hand panel here. Click on it, and then your API will be in the memory. Let's head over to the GitHub of Data Professor. Go to the repositories, and then go to the content mod repo. And then I could use this template to create another copy. Bin AssemblyAI content moderation app, make public, and then create repository from template. Okay, and so we're starting fresh, and you could click on new app and then click on the repository and then the AssemblyAI content moderation app. And then in advanced settings, type in API underscore key and then type in the API. And then remember the API that we have copied here, paste it in, save it, and then click on deploy. In the meantime, let's click on the manage app so that you can see a log of what is going on in provisioning of the Streamlit app. You'll be able to clone a copy of the repo of the content moderation app from the content mod repo. And then you have your own repo in your account. And then you could log into Streamlit Cloud. And then you click on new app. And then you select the repo that you have just cloned. And then you could sit back, relax, grab a cup of coffee. And in the meantime, the server is spinning up the app. And in no time, you have this app running. And so if you could see this message, then it means that you're up and running. So this is the content moderation app. And here is awaiting for URL, and the URL here is for a YouTube video. So you could paste a URL of any YouTube video, and then your app will be able to download the video and then upload that video audio file onto the AssemblyAI server for transcription. And then finally, it's going to use the transcribed text to perform identification on the sensitive content topics. And it will give a severity and confidence level. Let's give it a try. Let's have a look at the example URL here. And so you could just click here, click on it, and then we could just paste it here. Click on go, and then the app is running, and you can see all of the intermediate steps of what is going on. So here, audio file has been retrieved from the YouTube video. The YouTube audio file has been uploaded to AssemblyAI. It is currently transcribing the uploaded file. And so in order to do that, it needs to extract the transcript ID, and then it needs to retrieve the transcription results, which it is currently doing. And so give it some time as it is processing. All right, and there you go. You can see that the transcription is complete and the output is generated here. So I've created several expander boxes that includes allowing you to toggle the output on and off. So if you click show text, you'll be able to see all of the transcribed text. And so you can see here that this is a full video on YouTube and everything is transcribed. The full result is displayed here in JSON. So earlier on, we selected only the text part, which is right here. And then we came across this at the end, the content safety labels. So in order for us to just skip to this part, we're gonna create another one for easy access, which is here. And you can see that for each block of text, it will perform labeling on the various sensitive topics, such as this block of text is detected to be pertaining to health issues with a confidence of 0.776, with a severity of 0.26. So here, because it's mentioning about Alzheimer's disease, and about living and about age. So it's pretty confident at the 77% that the sentences here are pertaining to health issues. And so you're going to see that the rest are also pertaining to health issues. And now the severity increased to 0.92. Let's have a look. Terrifying, likely to affect us all, part of the fear, nothing we can do about it. So I think it's detecting that phrases here is providing some negative sentiment about the content, that despite decades of research, there is no disease treatment, right? So it's detecting that the severity is rather high here. And you're going to see that severity, depending on the sentences and the wordings that are used here, it dropped to 35 here. And so for the most part, all sentences were detected to be health issues. Okay, this is about tobacco. So without even reading the entire script, you could quickly see that it pertains to smoking here. And that's why it's detected to have tobacco as the label. So this great feature where you could hop on to various locations in your transcribed text so that you could pinpoint to the exact location as to where it is talking about tobacco if the sensitive topic matter needs to be addressed, right? And so you could skim through, or you could even write it in Python to automate the process even more. Let's have a look at the content summary. And so it summarizes that all of the transcribed text here is pertaining to health issues with a 0.99%, which is rather high. And finally, you could download everything here as a zip file. And there you go. And that's the content moderation app that we're going to build today. So you can see that in only a few minutes, you're able to get this app up and running. However, if you would like to know what is going on behind the scene and you would like to modify the app to suit your own use case, then watch on. So let's head on back to the GitHub repo here. So let me go back to but actually the content is exactly the same, the one on content mod and the one here that we have just cloned. So let's have a look at the high level here. So you're going to see that the first folder is a .streamlit folder. And if you click on it, you're going to find the config.toml file. And what this file contains are the parameters for the themes of the Streamlit app. So here we're going to have the background color of the app to be white. So you could feel free to modify this to any other color. You could make it black, you can make it gray, red, pink, orange, up to your heart's desire. And you could also adjust the fonts, the text color, primary color, etc. And the README is here. You could adjust this to include more coverage of the app that you're making. The requirements are the libraries that needs to be installed on the Streamlit cloud server. And so here we specify Streamlit and PyTube. So PyTube will allow us to download the audio file of the YouTube video. And then we have the main app here, Streamlit app.py. And then we have the utilities.py, which will essentially contain the brains of this app. So firstly, let's have a look at this Streamlit app.py. So a quick glance indicates that there's only 31 lines of code here. So here we're going to import Streamlit as st from the PyTube library. We're going to import the YouTube command from utilities file that we have just created in the main folder here. We're going to import the various function, which includes the getYT and the transcribedYT function. So I'm going to show you that in just a moment. So let me show you the app side by side with the explanation. Let me increase font a bit. There you go. So line 5, we're going to use st.markdown, and then we're going to use the h1 heading specified by the hash symbol. And then we're going to use the emoji, and then we're going to make it bold using markdown syntax, which is to have a double asterisk before and after the word. So you can see that the content moderation app text here is bold and the emoji is displayed as indicated. Line number 7, we're going to have st.warning, which is here, the yellow box. And then we're going to have it print out the text awaiting URL input in the sidebar. The sidebar is right here on the left-hand side. And then line number 10 is to comment that the following lines will be the sidebar of the app. On line number 11, we're using st.sidebar.header, which is here, the input parameter. And then in this block of code from 13 to 15 with st.sidebar.form, because we're going to create a form here, and then we're going to specify the key to be my form. And then we're going to create a variable called URL. And then this variable will house the contents from the text input box here. And the text input box will be specified using st.textInput. And inside the text input command, we're going to specify enter URL of the YouTube video here, which is displayed here. And then finally, we're going to have a submit button using the st.form submit button. And then the label will be go, right? You can modify this to be something else like submit if you like, or you can have it capital G, capital O, and then if you save it, then the app will update. And then once that you have hit on the go button, it will activate the following. So here we say if the submit button is clicked, we're going to run the getYT function, and we're going to take the URL which you specify here, which is saved into the URL variable here, and we're going to use it as the input to the getYT function. And after that, we're going to run the transcribedYT function. And so these two will be described in just a moment. And then finally, once everything is entered here, and if you click on submit or go, the app will run. And after the app has completed the transcription and the content moderation labeling as provided in the transcribedYT function, we're going to see a download button, which upon clicking on it, it will allow us to download a file called transcription.zip, and it will contain the contents from the transcription. And this will be indicated in the transcribedYT function. And then finally here, which is the example URL, which we see here, which is in the with st.sidebar.expander example URL, and then inside we have st.code. And we use the st.code because it allows the functionality of copying the code in the box here. If you click on it, it copies the URL. All right, and so this is the Streamlit app.py file, and let's have a look at the utilities.py so that we can see the two functions. Let's have a look. So there's a total of 132 lines. And you can see that there's two functions here. There's the getYT function and the transcribedYT function. So the getYT function is essentially get YouTube video. So when we paste in the URL of a YouTube video and click on go, this function will be the first one to be activated. So you can see here that the input URL will be specified into the YouTube function, and then we're going to assign that to the video variable, and then the video variable will be subjected to retrieving only the audio using the streams.getAudioOnly, and this is done using the PyTube library. And then we're going to download the audio file, and after that we're going to print out the text. Audio file has been retrieved from the YouTube video. And then we're going to use the bar.progress, which we had defined earlier using the st.progress. And then we indicated that we wanted half to start from 0. And so this is an arbitrary number that I used. So upon downloading the YouTube audio file, I specified this to be 10. You can make this any other number that you like. It could be 15 or it could be 20, just to indicate that there's progress made in the processing of the audio before it is transcribed. And so this is the getYT function, which spans from lines 14 until 20. And then the remainder of the file will be the transcribedYT function. And so here we're going to specify the current working directory, which was used using the OS built-in library of Python, and then get cwd. And now that we have the current working directory, we want to list all of the files in the current working directory. And for files that ends with a .mp4, which is the audio file that we have downloaded from YouTube earlier on here. And then we're going to assign that to file name. So the audio file will be assigned to file name. And then we have another function in here. We want to read the file name, which is read the audio. So we're going to open up the audio, and then eventually here we're going to upload the audio using the request post and the AssemblyAI URL here. We're going to upload the URL, and then after that we will print out that the YouTube audio file has been uploaded to the AssemblyAI server. And then we specify that to have a progress of 30. Notice that the AssemblyAI API URL here, upload is used. And in a subsequent step, we're going to perform transcription. Therefore, it became transcript. So we're going to define a endpoint variable. And this is the URL for the transcription. We're going to create a JSON variable here, and then this will essentially contain information on the audio URL, which is the one that is here. It's the audio file that we have uploaded to the AssemblyAI server, which is specified here. And we indicated that we want to have content safety to be true. And so the sensitive contents will be labeled. As always, we're going to specify the API key inside the headers variable here. And the API key is specified directly in a Streamlit app, which we have done previously in the Streamlit cloud in the settings. And we have created a variable called API key as the secrets. And so now we're going to send in a post request using the variables that we have specified earlier on. So these includes the endpoint, the JSON, and the headers. And after doing so, we're going to print out transcribing uploaded file. And then we're going to assign a progress of 40. So before we could retrieve the actual transcribed text, we're going to have to know what is the transcript ID. And so we retrieve that from the JSON using this. And then we specify our update of the progress to be extract transcript ID. And then we have a progress of 50. So whenever you see that the progress is 50, we have already got the transcript ID. And now we're going to retrieve the transcription results. And so here the endpoint will have the transcript ID inside, and we're using the F string to concatenate the strings. And we also use the API key here again. And then we save the get request inside the transcript output response variable. And then we print out that we have made retrieved transcription results and that we have a progress of 60. And then we're going to print out transcription is processing. And then we're going to use the while statement to detect whether the status is completed or not. And we're going to do that every 1 second. And if it has completed, we're going to have progress to have a value of 100. And from lines 90 and beyond, we're going to process the output. Firstly, we're going to print out the header text to be output, which is after we have run. Let me submit that again. You're going to see, as I've mentioned, all of the intermediate steps will be printed out. And after transcription is processed, you see the outputs. Give it some time. And aside from the output, you're going to see several expander boxes, which is specified here. This is the first one. It will show the text of the transcription. And then the second expander box will be here, the third one, and the fourth one. So in order to get the transcribed text, we're going to use transcript output response.json, and then we're going to specify the text. In a similar fashion, we're going to use this, but then we're going to write it out into a file, yt.txt, which we'll download later on in a zip file. And then we have the full results where we don't have any specification in the bracket here. So the entire JSON will be retrieved in the show full results expander box. And so the output is displayed here. And then finally, we have the write content safety label. And so we're going to specify from JSON output, content safety label. And to get the summary, we're going to add summary. And for those of you who are content creators on YouTube, you could also save the subtitle of the file And then you could upload this transcription onto YouTube so that the subtitle will be associated with your video. And so we're going to zip up everything, all of the transcription results into a transcription.zip file. At the last steps, we're going to remove everything here. We're going to remove all of the downloaded audio file and the text and the subtitle file, so that the app will be at a clean slate before we continue further in the next run. And so let me know in the comments down below how you intend to use this app for study, for work, for pleasure, for self-improvement, or as a hobby. And I'd love to hear from you how you intend to modify this to your own use case. And as mentioned already, all of the code and the blogs will be provided in the video description. And so congratulations, you've built your very own content moderation app using AssemblyAI in Python. Thank you for watching until the end of the video. Please support the channel by smashing the like button, subscribing if you haven't already, turn on notifications so that you'll be notified of the next video. And as always, the best way to learn data science is to do data science. And please enjoy the journey.